Do we need more anti-corruption summits? Next month, the United Kingdom government will host the Illicit Finance Summit in London. Transparency International says it is a crucial moment for reform-minded countries and major financial centers to work together to tackle a problem that is accelerating. The trend of deregulation and making it easier to do business can mean lighter rules, more fragmented supervision, and disinterest in probing for more accountability. The balance, if not properly managed, tends to favor bad actors as financial crimes are spotted late, if they're even spotted at all. Indeed, there is a trend of erosion of cross-border cooperation needed to fight financial crimes like money laundering. This implies more opportunities for bad actors also as more digital and new formats of value like crypto assets, tokens, and an array of instruments helping to facilitate quicker evaporation of audit trails when funds are moved around the world. The summit will look at the role played by certain sectors like banks, real estate, gold, and crypto assets. Hello, this is Global Business Insight, where we bring perspectives that help to navigate the more challenging context. This episode focuses on anti-corruption efforts and the Illicit Finance Summit to hold in London next month. The focus of the summit, taking place at Lancaster House in London over 2 days from 23rd to 24th of June, is to bring together governments, international organizations, civil society, and the private sector to secure commitments to strengthen transparency, enforcement, and international cooperation against illicit finance. According to Transparency International, dirty money is sustained by a large network, introducers, property transactions, paperwork, bank accounts, and bystanders who choose not to ask questions. Enablers help stolen wealth disappear from public view only to surface as art, luxury real estate investment, or an offshore company with no obvious owner. Some of the enablers are respectably positioned as bankers, wealth managers, investment advisors, and payment providers who know how to grant illicit money access to the formal economy. Then there are other actors, a sea of lawyers, accountants, auditors, notaries, real estate agents, tax advisors, and trust and corporate service providers who play their part in perfecting concealment, selling to less price-sensitive clients the expensive structures that make dirty money almost impossible to trace. But there are consequences beyond leakages to public funds and diversion of taxpayers' contributions. Money required to build roads, hospitals, and provide electricity are gone. Fiscal buffers needed in times of difficulty are eroded. Housing prices are inflated, quality of public services falls, and inequality is further deepened. Ordinary people are left with a severe distrust in institutions. Transparency International also found that across 33 African countries, up to 87 non-financial professionals helped politicians and public officials hide, move, or invest wealth abroad. These services may look legal, but many involved are negligent, exploited, or unwilling to scrutinize corruption. To win this war means defeating a global ecosystem where corrupt wealth moves swifter than the authorities trying to stop it, given a growing count of enablers, secrecy jurisdictions, opaque corporate vehicles, and anonymous property ownership, and the ever more intricate maze of companies, trusts, and legal arrangements. Property is the notorious favorite of illicit players as it stores value, confers status, and is easily hidden behind companies and trusts. Transparency International say they are pushing for action to tackle the underlying problem of how professional services enable concealment and calling governments to subject all high-risk professionals to anti-money laundering obligations regardless of which sector they sit in, supervise them independently, and effectively investigate repeat offenders and impose hard sanctions on culprits, also ensuring complicit enablers face prosecution. Transparency International urges governments to stop treating culpable property agents, the enablers, as innocent background characters, instead treating them as actors in the main plot. More rules do not need to create more bottlenecks for legitimate investors and players. Rather, it should be easy to spot and watch players visibly well positioned to take advantage of the loopholes. Society plays a very extensive part in hero worship of the very players that sabotage ability for government to provide decent services. Far too many business interests are able to play the system, pocket regulators, and move in corridors of power, acting to safeguard their interests by stretching the rules. According to Transparency International, while just 31 countries out of 182 surveyed have significantly reduced their corruption levels since 2012, the vast majority are failing to tackle the problem, mostly stagnant or just getting worse. The latest global average has sunk to a new scoring low of 42, while more than two-thirds of countries score below 50. Ordinary people pay the price as corruption leads to underfunded hospitals, unbuilt flood defenses, and blights the hopes and dreams of young people. 10 years have passed since the Panama Papers exposed how opaque company ownership and corporate service providers helped move and hide wealth linked to corruption and crime. Since then, there has been some progress. More countries now require beneficial ownership registers, anti-money laundering rules have strengthened, and Mossack Fonseca, the Panamanian firm at the center of the 11.5 million document leak, has shut down. Yet major loopholes persist, and the underlying system remains intact, enabling corruption to thrive in a shadow financial world built to protect dirty money. Transparency International is calling for accessible ownership information, tougher enforcement, stronger oversight of great gatekeeper professions, improved asset recovery, and genuine cross-border cooperation. There is also an observed long-time decline in leadership to fight corruption, with established democracies like the US, UK, and New Zealand seeing a drop in performance. The trend implies weaker standards and enforcement and lowering ambition on anti-corruption efforts all over the world. In a recent article in the Los Angeles Times, Daniel Morris, a former US diplomat who led USAID's governance, conflict, and anti-corruption work in Nigeria from 2020 to 2024, speaks of his experience of living in Nigeria, where he directed government-funded anti-corruption programs for the US Agency for International Development. He admits that while indeed Nigerian society has been badly disfigured by corruption, a redirection of US government resources for private gain reveals uncomfortable truths about a country that is in some ways more corrupt than Nigeria. The article concludes with a hidden truth about corruption in Nigeria, that there is nothing Nigerian about it. Indeed, a Chatham House survey published last year also found that 88% of Nigerians believe bribery and the misappropriation of public funds are unacceptable. Recent calls for Cyril Ramaphosa to resign and what some have called the reactivation of an anti-corruption push in Nigeria suggest there is no shortage of effort and belief that corruption is evil. Less clear is if the ethical environment is getting better or worsening. The world does not need more words to fight corruption. Governments all over the world are too complicit in endorsing the vices that provide politicians with the oil to lubricate the very expensive political structures. Three areas, among others, are worth giving more attention, especially from the African context. First, political party financing and comprehensive scrutiny of who the contributors are and their access to government contracts and favors. Contributions from private sector to government interests should be closely reviewed. Laws may also be needed to simplify and make political structures far less expensive to reduce the appetite to fund them through illicit financial flows.
There's a certain level of wealth and accumulation that is unearned, right? You can't earn $1 billion.
That's right.
You just can't earn that.
That's exactly correct.
You can get market power, you can break rules, you can do all sorts of things.
Second, I disagree with a comment last week made that it is impossible to earn $1 billion legally. But what is more true is that cheating the system is a far easier way to do so. We do need bold entrepreneurs, but we also need regulators and watchers adequately incentivized to expose and pursue investigations. What becomes obvious is that investigators look away from some frauds and show more zeal with others. Regulators must also come with clean hands. There should be a way to entrench less politically aligned players like non-government organizations in anti-fraud efforts through, say, a supervisory stroke advisory board. Regular anti-corruption watch reports should also be taken seriously as NGOs are strengthened to police illicit flows. Third, societies as a whole, in my view, though they zealously speak against it, can be the most effective enablers of financial crimes. The vast inequality in developing countries has made it so much easier for the wealthy class to recruit a vast population of uninformed, adoring supporters, helped by media to whitewash and launder the proceeds of crime into many good works. This collaboration with society needs to be very closely studied as it creates far more barriers to fighting crime than meets the eye. Unusual acceleration of net worth and vast income gaps should come under the severest regulatory and societal examination. The symbiotic relationship and mutually beneficial accord between highest levels of government and the wealthiest in society should not be celebrated as virtue in environments where the vast majority live below the poverty line. In short, another conference on fighting financial crime can be good news only if it will not be business as usual. A big question: where are the leaders who can tackle corruption with the boldness it deserves? Let me close by speaking of an area often subject to abuse, and that is granting special concessions and the use of fiscal incentives which erode buffers but are needed to boost new sectors and encourage innovation and rare entrepreneurship. The process for granting special waivers must be open and include an independent review or check to prevent abuse. It must also ensure that waivers are temporary and justified, not leading to unfair advantage or to permanent market distortions. Those granted should not be paying back through gifts, party donations, or opaque contributions. Review must ensure awards are not to cronies, and conflict of interest issues must also be investigated. Let me know your own thoughts on how illicit financial activities can be checked and who else needs to play a role. Well, that's it for this special edition of Global Business Insights. This is Bode Oshosami. Don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification button. We are also on Spotify, so you can also follow on that podcast platform. Bye-bye.